The tribal chief is back and he just sent the most violent message in WWE history. What Roman Reigns did to the Vision on Monday Night Raw wasn't just a return, it wasn't just an attack, it was a complete and utter decimation that has everyone in the wrestling world losing their minds right now. If you missed Raw, if you think you know what happened based on social media clips, you don't know the half of it. The chaos, the destruction, the statement that Roman just made about who runs WWE. This changes everything going into WarGames, and I'm about to break down every single detail that has the entire roster terrified right now. Let me paint the picture of how insane this really was. The Vision, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, and whoever else they've recruited into their smug little faction were in the ring doing their usual routine, talking trash, acting like they run Monday Night Raw, disrespecting legends, claiming that the new generation has taken over and the old guard needs to step aside. They were feeling themselves, completely confident, absolutely convinced that they're untouchable. The crowd was booing them out of the building, but they didn't care. They were living in their own reality where they're the most important thing happening in WWE. Then the lights went out. And when I say the entire arena lost their minds, I mean it was one of the loudest reactions you'll hear all year. Because everyone knew what was about to happen. That silence before the music hits, that anticipation, that collective held breath from 15,000 people who are about to witness something special. That's the aura that Roman Reigns has built over the last few years. When his music finally hit, the place erupted. But here's what made this different from a typical return pop. Roman didn't come out smiling, he didn't come out to soak in the adulation, he didn't do his usual methodical walk to the ring. He sprinted. The tribal chief, the man who never rushes, who always moves with purpose and control, came charging down that ramp like a man possessed. The look on his face was pure rage, pure violence, pure "I'm about to end your entire existence." And the Vision, these guys who seconds ago were acting so tough and confident, immediately realized they had made a catastrophic mistake. The attack was brutal. Roman hit the ring and went directly after Grayson Waller first, absolutely obliterating him with a Superman punch that looked like it took Waller's head off his shoulders. Theory tried to intervene and got speared so hard that he folded in half. The third member of the Vision, and this is where it gets interesting because we're still not 100% sure who that is based on how fast everything happened, tried to escape through the crowd and Roman literally jumped over the barricade and hunted him down like a predator chasing prey. What Roman did next is what has everyone talking. He didn't just beat down the Vision and stand tall. He destroyed them. We're talking chairs, we're talking announce tables being broken, we're talking Roman hitting multiple spears on each member, we're talking a level of violence that we haven't seen from Roman in years. This wasn't calculated tribal chief punishment. This was visceral, personal, old shield Roman Reigns violence. The kind that reminds you that before he was the head of the table, before he was the tribal chief, Roman Reigns was one of the most physically dominant and dangerous performers in WWE history. The medical staff had to come out for all three members of the Vision. Not as a work, not as storyline selling, they legitimately needed attention because Roman had dismantled them so thoroughly. Waller was holding his jaw like it might be broken. Theory couldn't stand up straight after that spear. The visual of all three of them laid out while Roman stood in the center of the carnage, not even breathing hard, just surveying the destruction he'd caused. That's an image that's going to be replayed for years. But why did this happen? Why did Roman come back specifically to target the Vision? Here's where the story gets really good. Over the past few weeks while Roman has been away, the Vision has been running their mouths about the bloodline, about Roman specifically. They've been saying that Roman abandoned WWE, that he's scared of the new generation, that his time on top is over and they're the ones who represent the future. They disrespected the Ula Fala, they mocked Paul Heyman, they even had the audacity to claim that they would beat Roman in a fight if he ever showed his face again. Apparently, Roman heard every word. And Roman doesn't forget disrespect. The tribal chief has spent years building his legacy, building his dynasty, establishing himself as the most dominant WWE champion in modern history. And these young guys, talented as they might be, thought they could just talk recklessly about him without consequences? They fundamentally misunderstood who they were dealing with. Roman didn't come back to shut them up with words. He came back to shut them up with violence, and that's exactly what he did. The WarGames implications of this are massive. There's been speculation for weeks about who would be in the WarGames matches, what the team configurations would look like, whether Roman would even be involved given his part-time schedule. Well, now we know. Roman is not only involved, he's clearly positioning himself as the centerpiece of whatever WarGames match he's part of. And the Vision? They just became the team that has to face the wrath of the tribal chief inside the most demonic structure in wrestling. Think about what WarGames means for this feud. 2 rings, 1 giant cage, weapons legal, elimination rules, absolute chaos. Roman Reigns, who just spent 20 minutes destroying 3 guys in a regular ring setting, now gets to do it inside a cage where they can't escape and the rules basically don't exist. The Vision should be terrified. Actually, based on their faces after Raw went off the air, they are terrified. The reality of what they've gotten themselves into has clearly set in. The crowd reaction throughout this entire segment was nuclear. Every move Roman hit got massive pops. Every member of the Vision getting destroyed got huge reactions. When Roman finally stood tall at the end, the applause and cheering lasted for minutes. This is what Roman Reigns brings to WWE: that big fight feel, that main event aura, that sense that you're watching something truly special and important. The Vision are talented guys, but they're not on Roman's level yet, and Monday Night Raw made that abundantly clear. Social media absolutely exploded after this segment. Within minutes, Roman Reigns was trending worldwide on Twitter. Clips of the attack racked up millions of views across all platforms. Wrestling fans who haven't watched Raw in months were talking about it. Mainstream sports outlets were covering it. This is the Roman Reigns effect. When he shows up and does something significant, it transcends wrestling and becomes a cultural moment that reaches beyond just the hardcore fan base. The backstage reaction to this is equally fascinating. Multiple sources are reporting that the locker room was watching on monitors, and the pops from the wrestlers themselves were almost as loud as the crowd. People were marking out for Roman's return and the beating he delivered. Veterans were nodding their heads in approval at the old-school intensity Roman brought. Younger wrestlers were taking notes on how to make an impactful return. Even guys on the SmackDown roster who weren't at the show were texting and calling people asking about what they'd just seen. Paul Heyman's role in all of this can't be ignored. The wise man was notably absent from Raw before Roman's return, which makes sense in retrospect. Heyman doesn't appear without Roman anymore. His presence is directly tied to the tribal chief's presence. But the storytelling question is whether Heyman knew Roman was coming back and orchestrated this, or whether Roman went rogue and decided on his own to send this message. Either way, you can bet Heyman is going to have plenty to say on the next show about what the Vision has brought upon themselves. Let's talk about what this means for each member of the Vision individually. Grayson Waller has been positioned as a breakout star, a guy with unlimited potential who can talk and wrestle at a high level. But getting absolutely destroyed by Roman Reigns on live television is a reality check. Can he recover from this and maintain his momentum, or did Roman just expose that Waller isn't ready for this level of competition? The answer to that question will define Waller's career trajectory over the next year. Austin Theory is in an interesting position because he's already had matches with top guys, he's already been United States champion, he's already been positioned as a future main eventer, but he's also been struggling to find his footing character-wise. Getting demolished by Roman could actually be good for Theory long-term if they tell the story right. It gives him a chip on his shoulder, a reason to evolve and get more serious, a defining loss that motivates him to level up, but only if WWE follows through on that storytelling. The third member of the Vision who Roman destroyed is still somewhat mysterious, which adds an interesting element to this whole situation. The camera angles and the chaos made it hard to definitively identify who it was, which has fans speculating and debating online. Is it someone we know, or is this the debut of a new signee who immediately got thrown into the deep end against Roman Reigns? The mystery itself is generating conversation and keeping people engaged with the storyline. The match quality of what Roman did was also noteworthy. This wasn't just a brawl where everyone was throwing wild punches and nothing looked good. Roman's execution was crisp. Every Superman punch landed perfectly. Every spear looked devastating. The chair shots were brutal but safe. This is what separates Roman from a lot of other performers. He can work at an intense, violent pace while still maintaining the technical precision that makes everything look legitimate and impactful. That's a rare skill set. The timing of this return is perfect for multiple reasons. We're heading into WarGames, which is one of WWE's biggest events of the year and needs star power to draw interest. Roman being involved immediately elevates whatever match he's part of to must-see status. The traditional Thanksgiving week Raw is coming up, which typically draws strong numbers because people are home and watching TV. Roman being prominently featured in the build to WarGames ensures those numbers will be even better. From a business perspective, this return was strategically timed for maximum impact. The storytelling possibilities going forward are endless. Does Roman recruit his own team to face the Vision in WarGames? Does he go in with a numbers disadvantage and overcome it anyway because he's that dominant? Do we see the return of other bloodline members to back up Roman? Does Cody Rhodes factor into this somehow given the history between him and Roman? Every one of those directions would be compelling television, which is exactly what WWE needs heading into the final months of the year. The physicality that Roman displayed is also significant because there have been whispers that his part-time schedule might mean he's slowing down or not as intense as he used to be. Monday Night Raw proved those whispers completely wrong. Roman looked as dangerous and explosive as he's ever been. If anything, the time away seems to have refreshed him and made him even more motivated to make an impact when he does appear. That's great news for WWE and for fans who want to see Roman at his absolute best. The commentary team's reaction to Roman's return was perfectly executed. They sold the shock, the violence, the importance of what was happening without over-explaining or ruining the moment. Michael Cole's voice cracking with genuine emotion as he called Roman's attack added to the authenticity of the moment. This is one area where WWE's production has really improved, letting big moments breathe and not overproducing them to death. The Vision's promo work leading up to this attack is what made it so satisfying. They had been so arrogant, so disrespectful, so convinced of their own importance that seeing them get absolutely demolished by someone who operates on a completely different level was cathartic for the audience. Good heel work creates investment in seeing them get their comeuppance, and the Vision did exactly that. Their punishment was earned through their actions, which makes the storytelling feel organic and justified. The long-term booking implications are fascinating to consider. If Roman is back and involved in WarGames, what does that mean for his schedule going forward? Is this a one-off appearance or the start of a more regular presence on Monday Night Raw? Does this create a storyline that carries through Royal Rumble and into WrestleMania season? The fact that one return and one attack creates so many questions and possibilities shows how valuable Roman is to WWE's creative process. The camera work during the attack deserves credit as well. The production team captured every moment of violence, every facial expression, every bit of destruction in a way that made it feel big and important. The aerial shot showing all three members of the Vision laid out simultaneously, the close-ups on Roman's face showing his intensity, the crowd reaction shots, all of it combined to create a segment that felt like a major event rather than just another Monday Night Raw angle. The merchandise implications are also worth noting. Roman Reigns gear always sells, but you can bet that after this return and this attack, WWE's online store is going to see a spike in Tribal Chief merchandise sales. That's the power of making someone look absolutely dominant and unstoppable. Fans want to associate themselves with that winner, that destroyer, that ultimate badass. WWE understands this, which is why they protect Roman's character so carefully and why moments like this are so important. The international audience reaction is going to be massive as well. Roman Reigns is a global superstar with fans all over the world. This return is going to be replayed and discussed in every market where WWE has a presence. The visceral nature of the attack transcends language barriers. You don't need to understand English to appreciate Roman Reigns destroying three guys and standing tall. That universal appeal is part of what makes Roman so valuable to WWE as a company. The locker room politics and backstage dynamics are also affected by Roman's return. When the Tribal Chief is around, everyone's status gets recalibrated. Suddenly every other storyline on Raw is playing for second place because Roman's presence elevates whatever he's involved with to the top of the card. That's not a criticism, it's just the reality of having someone of Roman's stature on your brand. Other performers will have to adjust and find ways to stand out in a Roman Reigns-dominated landscape. The intensity that Roman brought to this return also sets a new standard for what main event work should look like in WWE right now. He didn't phone it in, he didn't rely on his star power alone, he went out there and worked like someone who has something to prove. That kind of effort from someone at the top of the card raises everyone else's game. You can't work a lazy, uninspired match on the same show where Roman Reigns just destroyed three people with that level of intensity. What happens on the next Raw is going to be crucial. Will the Vision respond? Will they show fear or defiance? Will Roman appear again or let the message he sent speak for itself? Will we start to see the full teams being assembled for WarGames? All of these questions create anticipation for the next episode, which is exactly what effective wrestling storytelling should do. Roman's return wasn't just about that one moment, it was about creating momentum and interest that carries forward for weeks. The historical significance of this return will be debated for years. Where does it rank among Roman's greatest moments? How does it compare to other legendary WWE returns? Is this the beginning of a new chapter in Roman's career or a continuation of his existing dominance? Wrestling fans love to categorize and rank moments, and this Roman Reigns return with the destruction of the Vision is going to be part of those conversations forever. The message Roman sent with this attack is crystal clear: the Tribal Chief is back, he's still the most dangerous man in WWE, and anyone who disrespected him in his absence is going to pay a severe price. The Vision disrespected the wrong person, and they paid for it with their bodies and their credibility. That's old school wrestling psychology: build heat through disrespect, pay it off with violence, create a dynamic where the audience is satisfied that justice was served. Roman and WWE executed that formula perfectly. WarGames is going to be insane. The match hasn't even been officially announced yet and already everyone is talking about it, speculating about it, anticipating it. That's the power of great storytelling and great performers. Roman Reigns returning and destroying the Vision wasn't just good television, it was a masterclass in how to create buzz, generate interest, and make people care about what happens next. The Tribal Chief is back, and WWE Monday Night Raw just became must-watch television again.